What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and I had a couple things, well, I guess really just one thing to talk about today, but there's a couple different layers to it, I guess. I want to officially announce the next LP project that I'm going to be doing now that Arc the Lad 2 is coming to an end. And I basically just wanted to talk a whole bunch about it because it's basically completely different from every other LP I've ever done in every way I can conceive of. Now, that's not necessarily done on purpose. It's sort of is, I guess. So I'm going to try and keep it as concise as I can. But every time I've ever said that, which is something that I kind of tend to say a lot, it usually ends up being a complete lie. So whatever. So the game that I'm going to be playing after Arc the Lad 2 is a little game you may have heard of by the name of Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Technically, I say that I'm going to be playing after Arc the Lad 2, but in reality, I've actually already played it. I recorded the entire playthrough around the beginning of September, so the videos have all been recorded and edited and ready to go for a little over a month already. So once I know when the last episode of Arc the Lad 2 is going to be going up, I will upload the entirety of Amnesia for a scheduled release, one a day. I forget how many episodes there are, but whatever. And I want to talk a little bit about why I chose to do Amnesia, some of the different things that I did with this playthrough, and why I did those things in some cases. I mean, whatever. So, obviously, Amnesia is very different from every other Let's Play that I've done so far. And that's on purpose, more or less. For one thing, I got the game as a part of Humble Bundle number 5 or whatever. And scary games are not my thing. I never play scary games. I don't watch scary movies. And that's not necessarily to say that I'm going to be particularly scared by... I wasn't expecting to be super scared by what was in Amnesia. It was more a matter of I didn't know what to expect. So, yeah, it's just not the kind of game that I tend to play. And I figured that I'm not going to want to play through it more than once, so I might as well record it, because, I don't know, Let's Playing Amnesia seems to be a popular thing to do. Not that I tend to really care about that, but whatever. It just seemed like a fun idea. And at this point, I think episode 143 of Arc the Lad 2 is rendering right now. And there were, 30 episodes of Arc the Lad 1? So, I mean, between the two, that's over half a year of Arc the Lad. That's long ass time. So I was kind of looking for a little bit of a change of pace, something completely different, and Amnesia definitely fits that. So some of the things that I did differently with this game is obviously I did it blind. I'm not a big fan of blind LPs, but Amnesia and scary games in general are definitely a genre of game that it very much works for. Really, I mean, for the most part, if you're not playing a scary game blind, then you're probably doing it wrong. I mean, there are arguments and whatever, but that's whatever. So, for one, it's a blind LP. It's a game I've never played. It's a genre I've never played. And it's just completely different. Normally on this channel, I like to play games that are old school, that I have, in most cases, have fond memories of, or at least have played before. Although, there aren't really a whole lot of games that I don't have fond memories of on my channel. Except maybe Portal 2, but that was a pretty terrible Let's Play, and we don't talk about that. Where was I going with that? Right. So obviously Amnesia is completely different from that, and I just thought it would be fun to just do something completely different, just completely change up the formats, do something fun and new and interesting, and just something that doesn't require quite as much preparation. That's a little bit more slapdash, I guess. So, Amnesia. Uh, and one of the things that I did differently with this playthrough is I went for a lot longer. I mean, I didn't aim for any specific length, I guess would be a better way of saying it. I've kind of started doing that a little bit with Ark the Lad as well, just not worrying so much about, well, it's got to be 15 minutes long. If it's too long, then, oh my god, it's too long. If it's too short, then just keep recording, or whatever. I just didn't care at all, basically, about how long the episodes were. I just went until I felt like I was at a good length and a good stopping point. And there are a few reasons I did that. For one, I think I just tend to prefer that style. It's a lot less hassle for me if I can just go until I feel like it's a good stopping point. It's less planning. It's a little more freeform. It's just, I think it's more fun for me. But the biggest thing is, it means that I don't have to have in the back of my mind constantly, how long is this episode being? How long is the next part of the game going to be? Can I fit that in my allotted time? And I just don't have to plan that kind of stuff out as much, and it doesn't have to be constantly in the back of my mind. And it means that I don't have to constantly be staring at a timer on my other monitor. And I think that's especially important for Amnesia, because if I'm doing those things, then I'm focusing on something that isn't the game, which kind of kills it, I think. And when I played through Amnesia, I was very sure to make sure that that was not something that was happening. I played it at night. No one else was in the house with me. I was completely alone. Every possible light in the house was off. I had to make some concessions with that one, but I'll talk about that in a moment. And I was also wearing headphones, and pretty good headphones, like these things. They're, right on top of my ears. They're pretty good headphones. So it was in full screen, all that. Basically, I did as much as I can, or as much as I could, to maintain the atmosphere of the game and make sure that I was into the game and not anything else. There's somewhere else I was going with that. Right. Also, I aimed for longer episodes because I felt like if I was sticking to like 15, even 20-minute episodes, that the kind of tension of the game would be broken up a lot more. It doesn't really work for Amnesia if you go 15 minutes and say, okay, well, I'm in the middle of something really tense, but my time limit is up, so I'm just going to stop. It feels a lot better, I think, to just say, you know what, I'm going to go until the end of the sequence, until there's a natural break in the game, and that way the tension isn't broken or anything like that. And I like that format a lot better. And if people aren't like grossly offended by like half an hour episodes, I think I'm probably going to go towards that format for even future LPs after Ark the Lad 2 as well. For all the reasons that I just mentioned. Of course, stuff like the tension and all that isn't something that's as important for the type of games that I normally do. But if nothing else, it'll allow me to kind of go through each game in a fewer number of days, so we don't end up with stupid, ridiculous crap like this Ark the Lad stuff, where I've been doing basically the same game for over a year, like half a year. I really don't want to do that again. So one of the other things that I did with this series is, because I'm recording it on this laptop that I got with that's kind of weird. I'm pointing at the laptop, but it looks like I'm pointing at you. My laptop, not your laptop. Whatever. With this laptop, which is an Alienware laptop that I got for my school course. They gave it to us. It's pretty beastly. And I played it through Amnesia on this laptop, and that allowed me to do a couple of things. The first thing is that the entire series is recorded in 1080p, which I will probably not be doing again for a very long time. Suffice it to say that like half an hour of 1080p video. The files are enormous, which is a pain in the butt. It makes rendering times really long, which is just doesn't work for like day-to-day stuff for me. Yeah, it just creates a whole lot of work, and that's not the only reason why. The other thing is, I was doing it on this laptop, and because of that, I used the webcam on the laptop as well to record the face cam, or whatever you want to call it. So there's that as well. Just to add a little bit more complication to the technical side of things. Like, recording the episodes was not very hard, but it took me like, I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks, just to figure out how to render it all properly and get it in a format that actually worked with YouTube well. Like, and even then, I'm not 100% sure if I did it well. I'm assuming it's going to work okay. I sure hope so. So the technical side was a lot of work. Now, I said earlier about how I had all the lights off, and the one thing I did want to mention is that I had to make some concessions with that because I do have the face cam in the video, so I had to have some lights on so that you could actually see me in the face cam. I tried having it with all the lights off. I would have preferred to do it that way, but I just couldn't. Because with no lights on, there's no light for the camera to see, so you can't see me at all. So my concession was I think I had some lights on behind me, and I just did that. It didn't really interfere with my personal experience at all, but it should help you see me. Also, the game itself is really dark, so I had to do some like brightness correction and all that, which isn't something I've ever really messed around with, but that's just whatever. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say on the matter of Amnesia. And yeah, so once Arc the Lad 2 is completed, there will be a bunch of Amnesia episodes. Because the episodes are pretty long and the game is not super long, it shouldn't be a very long series.